Welcome to episode 25 of the Total Football Podcast. I'm your host, Second Hart. I'm joined this fine Monday by Andrew Conway.
Hello.
And Matthijs O'Flaherty.
Hello.
This week, it's transfer dealings, Nation League preparations, and some actual football in between. In early January 2017, we all laughed at Paul Merson, who exclaimed that Marco Silva couldn't possibly be the right choice to take over Mike Phelan as Hull City manager, as he didn't know the Premier League. Silva wouldn't be able to keep Hull in the league, but he would upgrade his standing in English football by becoming Watford manager in the summer. A year on from Merson's remarks, and Silva has been sacked. I bet he's feeling quite smug right now.
He has, the Paul Merson. What can you say?
Yeah, that's a pretty good summation of Paul Merson.
He might just be right for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's probably.
He kind of, being right, fell onto his lap, kind of.
Yeah.
Everton threw it onto his lap.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see the statement Watford released?
Yeah, moving into the news, that was really the key thing for me when I woke up to the news that Silva had been sacked on Sunday, and just the statement was ridiculous, really.
I've never seen that before. They didn't name Everton now.
Yeah, but
they said advances.
Heavily implied.
Heavily
that it was
implied,
Everton's
yeah.
fault.
I like the use of the word unwarranted, which would imply that they weren't doing well, so why did they want the manager?
Yeah.
There was no reason for them to want our manager that puts themselves down. So Watford managed to put themselves down, and that's it.
I mean, yeah, I don't think they mind that too much if they can get their shots off.
Yeah, how are they appointed now? They're appointing
Javi Gracia.
Where was he previously? Sevilla, is it?
No, he was Malaga. He was at Malaga before. I don't know if he was just at Malaga.
So he did okay at Malaga.
Once I think they knew that by sacking Silva they'd be downgrading, in terms of talent. That was pretty much guaranteed.
It also shows that if the swiftness that they've appointed this guy is they already had this in mind for some time and they're waiting for an excuse to do it.
Well, they've only won one game in 11 in the league, which is kind of worrying, I suppose, for them.
Yeah, any team with a record like that who isn't drawing up a short list of managers isn't doing the job.
Yeah, but at the same time, apart from the fact that obviously they were distracted by the Everton approach, Watford I think they have the worst injury record in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's terrible from what I know.
Which is uncontrolled circumstances. And think of the teams they've lost to in that time.
They played all the top sides between now and when Everton approached them. They had a kind of comfortable start to the season, bar the Liverpool match, which they did well in.
Yeah.
So it kind of made sense.
Where are they in the league right now?
10th.
Yeah.
No, and Watford do tend to collapse just around the Christmas period.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not really been sacked because of the results.
Yeah, it was kind of a lack of professionalism. You can say what you want about Watford's loyalty to their previous managers. I think the slate should be wiped clean at the start of each managerial reign, and they perceive Marco Silva as disloyal to them, so why should they be loyal to him?
Yeah, I mean, they're an ambitious club, and you can see that when Quiche Flores?
Yeah,
he had a fairly good season. What was it, 14th or something?
Well,
a year or two after being promoted, that would do for most clubs. Watford want to be pushing on, they want to be advancing.
And they want to play nice football.
Yeah, that's why they got him in the first place.
Yeah.
Because, he's got a reputation as being a manager, a progressive manager, an ambitious manager, and that's what kicked them in the arse.
Yeah, they started the season quite well. They were playing some nice football, bar the Man City result really when they got hammered.
Yeah, but
the issue with the Watford project is the Watford are owned by the same family that own Udinese, and I think they own a Spanish club as well.
Betis?
It's not Betis. It's a Real Mallorca or somewhere like that. They own, and they're feeder clubs for each other, and whoever makes them. It's a business venture for them. That's why they had no problem sacking. Remember when they got promoted, they sacked 3 managers in the space of 8 weeks. Getting promoted.
One of them was for medical reasons, as far as I know.
Yeah, but it was still a crazy.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. They sacked the manager, got them promoted immedately.
Yeah.
And they appointed, was it Quique Sanchez?
It was Quique Sanchez Flores.
It
It was the first season, and then it was Mazzarri
winning manager, and Mazzarri managed Napoli, he's managed Inter Milan. He has a suspect past, but these are top grade managers. They're not seeking out managers. This was their first real, in the Championship they can be forgiven for taking whoever they can get. But in the Premier League, this was their first appointment of an ambitious young manager, someone who hasn't already been at the top of the game, who hasn't managed top clubs, and is trying to either rebuild a reputation the way that Sanchez was, or looking for a bit of a pay packet the way Mazzarri was. They appointed Silva because he was young, ambitious, and they probably had a long-term plan to keep him at the club. Like you said, they probably wanted to, okay, we're going to grow in the Premier League. We don't want to finish 14th. We don't want to finish 10th or wherever, 16th or 17th.
It was 17th last season.
Yeah, very near the relegation zone. But this is the trend that's happened every season Watford have been in the Premier League. They start well or they start okay. They continue okay. And then the dressing room or the board just completely lose faith in the manager. And then it's telling on the field. It happened with Sarri. It happened with Sanchez. The players knew the manager was getting sacked months before anyone else knew.
Yeah, and apparently the players were like, they were actually, like when they heard the whole reports with Marco Silva going to Everton, they lost faith in Marco Silva because Marco Silva wanted to go to Everton.
Some of them didn't even lose faith, and some of them, he told them he was wanting to bring them into Everton when he moved. You know, he turned the players' heads, and I think that maybe not more than anything else, but that's definitely part of the reason. You know, because like. How can that fail to fracture a dressing room? Even if you're a player with no special bond with the manager, okay, he's moving, I'll just get my head down, play well for the next one. But if he's telling, if you're a centre back, he's telling the other centre back, I want to bring you to Everton. That's saying, well, I don't think you're good enough, or and you can't draw up lines like that as a manager. It's completely unprofessional.
And then the thing is as well, I think it was Jack Brook that was talking about this yesterday. Is like this is kind of an issue for stepping stone clubs now. Like Newcastle have been one before. Watford are currently the stepping stone club. Like when you hire a manager who both the manager and the team know he's just here for a year or two as a way of progressing his career to take on a bigger club later.
But previously, and I say previously, we have 2 years only of history with this. Neither of those managers were hired as a stepping stone. They were they were hired as stopgap.
But Marco Silva definitely was, and
I don't think he was hired as I think he was hired as this is a long-term project.
Yeah. No, but I think in Marco Silva's head he saw this as I'll go to Watford for a year or two, and then I can go to Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool when one of their managers leaves.
Maybe he's that ambition.
I mean,
I don't see one of those clubs going for Marco Silva in the foreseeable future.
No, I think he still needs to prove himself.
I was just going to say, I don't think any club in the upper echelons of the Premier League would have it go with him. But at the same time, I'd say if the Sam Allardyce project suffers at Everton,
he could go to Southampton at this rate. Like he could be Southampton manager by the end of the month.
He could,
yeah, he could still be going to Everton. Allardyce is only on an 18-month contract for a reason.
You're right. He could go to any, which is short-termism, because if I were. Whatever Paul Merson has said about Marco Silva, most of it was ridiculous stuff. It was incorrect. It was wrong. It was xenophobic in some extent. But now, as you said, he's right for the wrong reasons. Yeah. I wouldn't take a gamble on Marco Silva because he showed this loyalty. Because he didn't have the tact to wait.
Yeah, it was just a lack of professionalism.
Yeah. But why didn't he? If he wanted to get out of Everton, or if he wanted to go to Everton that badly, he could have just resigned on the spot.
Yeah.
He could have, and Everton would have hired him.
Or he could have told Everton, I don't want to leave so soon. Give me a year and a half, put Allardyce on an 18-month contract, I'll go to you then,
But instead he did it all in public.
Exactly. And this looks so bad on him, because, what other small, ambitious club is going to take a gamble on him? Because they see, they know he's going to leave as soon as a better offer comes along. And it doesn't even have to be solid now, It's one thing for a manager to leave when, the clubs have agreed a fee, the club have kind of allowed him to talk to the other club. That's one thing.
For him to go
exactly. There was none of that at Watford. He just threw his toys out of the pram. He's not good enough, or at least he hasn't proved enough for an Arsenal or one of the bigger clubs to take him on.
In Europe, across the board. No one, looking at this, where loyalty, you say that English football is very hearty, it's very visceral, it's very masculine. But if you go to other European countries, loyalty matters an awful lot more than it does in, maybe not Italy.
Yeah.
But if you go to the owners of clubs in Spain and in Germany, maybe countries that would be a step up, and even France, countries that would be a step up from where he's managed previously and done well. They're not going to hire him for this. Not at the big clubs anyway. Desperate clubs will hire him.
Yeah.
Who's in the relegation.
Well, Southampton, as I said.
Southampton, yes. They would hire him.
Yeah.
Or clubs that are mismanaged, the way Newcastle have been in the past, or the way Picken hit the bottom 10.
Yeah.
They would all be desperate enough to hire a manager like Marco Silva, even though he got Hull relegated. With half the season, got Hull relegated. Did he have half the season?
It was January.
He had the same amount of time as Paul Clement, I think. But at this point, he'll need to do a superb job at Southampton or anything like that to get to the club. He's ambitious enough.
He needs to reprove himself again.
He has to start again.
He's
at a lower ebb than when he was appointed, I think, because at least he had a lot of people on his side for those Paul Merson comments. Now Paul Merson's been vindicated again in the wrong way. But he's got like nowhere to climb.
Yeah, he's put himself 3-4 years work back about that. And I mean, we've said it before, the manager has a 15-year cycle historically, you know. You don't want to be shooting yourself in the foot like that.
Fire him and get out of England.
That seems probably the best step for him.
Start again in
back
France,
to Portugal, maybe.
Any of the countries.
I'm just glad with this appointment that I don't have to ask you now who's going to be the Watford manager, because they've been so swift in bringing in someone.
Mark Bell's is still available. Scotland.
He could be the assistant manager maybe and step in.
I want him to go to Scotland now.
Yeah, because Michael O'Neill, of course, has decided to stay in Northern Ireland.
Just one last thing on the Watford front. You were saying they wanted a long-term plan and whatever. Back when they were in the Championship, the first manager, it's the Pozzo family?
Yeah, that's what it is.
The first manager they fired was Sean Dyche, who has shown exactly what a good long-term plan will do for a club.
They sacked him at the time because his football didn't relate to they wanted something more razzle-dazzle. They wanted someone bigger and a name.
Yeah.
And Sean Dyche was a coach poached from, was he at Swansea? Did he go to Swansea with Brendan Rodgers, or was he just at Chelsea?
I'm not sure.
Either way, he was under Brendan. He worked with Brendan Rodgers. He was an assistant to Brendan Rodgers at Chelsea, and took over from Brendan Rodgers at Chelsea. And Brendan Rodgers moved on to Swansea or Reading, wherever he had moved on to at the time. And that's why they took a risk on him. He was a caretaker, and then appointed, and he did well with them. They're not to know the future. Like
they're not, obviously.
They've managed their club. Like, it looks crazy, especially with the first time down the Premier League. They just wholesale changes. But they seem to kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah, they've stayed up. Like that's.
I don't.
They stay up. They don't go down.
No, I don't think that any of their firings you can look back and say that was clearly wrong or that was clearly too soon or whatever. They've been vindicated most of the time. But at the same time, if they want to really push on to that next level, they do need to get a long-term plan in place.
They need some kind of continuity.
Exactly.
Hilario Gomez is still in goals for them.
Well, he's not now because he's injured at the moment.
He's injured at the moment, but he'd be first choice goal. He has.
Watford fans seem to like Gomez.
No, I know, and they had Almunia before that, if you remember, it's the goal when they first came back to the Premier League. They're a strange club that need a lot more, how can you say it, structure in their design. It's as if they have we have a long-term plan for this club as an entity, but none of that involves what goes on in the field.
Yeah.
But what I have to ask is Grazia part of that long-term plan, or is he just here to get them over to the summer and then they find somebody new?
Well, so far, 6-month appointments would probably suit Watford because...
Well, it's a 2.5-year contract as far as I know.
6 months will do them fine, but that's still only, treading water. It's not going to do much more than
that. That was the point to Silva. Maybe Grazia...
That's true.
Maybe that was going to be... He was going to be the manager next year.
Maybe.
It wouldn't surprise me if Watford have a plan where every year they have a different manager touted.
Yeah.
Because every time they've had a manager appointed very quickly after they got rid of the other one, which makes you think they have a list that's active, that they're talking to people, they're getting them to move to Watford, which is close enough to London, but it's still it's every time they've hired a manager they've had to come from a different country, so it's not an easy appointment.
The Alexis Sanchez transfer saga has finally ended, or the Henrik Mkhitaryan transfer saga, depending on who you ask. So what next for the 9 days? Who else are we going to be hounding?
There's only 9 days left.
There's only 9 days left.
Flown by.
It really has. The wonder of it all.
And Chelsea still haven't signed a striker.
They're looking.
Yeah, they're looking.
What's wrong with Andy Carroll exactly?
He's got a ankle injury.
And so
he's injured at the moment.
So that's why they're not.
He would not pass a medical.
That's why they were looking at Peter Crouch.
Peter Crouch,
and then Ashley
Barnes, Eden Dzeko. One of these is not like the others.
Well,
that one seems like it's actually nearly done, which I think would be an alright sign.
45 million for him and the fullback.
Yeah,
they do need a left back.
They do need a left back, absolutely. But at the same time, Eden Dzeko's 32, hasn't hit the same heights. Yeah,
he's been good. He's had a rocky start.
He scored that amazing goal at Stamford Bridge this season.
Chelsea have a history of buying players who score against them. It's amazing.
The thing about Roma with this is Roma are still in the hunt. Like, technically, they're still in the title race in Italy.
Roma are in massive trouble financially.
But they aren't. Like, they're owned by those American billionaires.
They just need to...
it's FIFA financial fair play.
Yeah, they just need to hit that.
They need to balance the books. They need to make a certain amount of money every year. It's the reason... they do this. They sell players
They sold
just look at Salah.
Sell Chelsea, went back to Arsenal.
Yeah, no, look at Salah. Salah should have cost a lot more, but they needed to sell him.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same. Lyon have the same problem. They sold.
It's the same with Inter Milan, and AC Milan will probably have the same problems this summer.
There are some teams who just need to sell, and I mean, that's why Roma are probably like a 32-year-old striker.
It's good money for, as you say.
It's not a bad.
And their thinking is they could probably still qualify for the Champions League without Dzeko, and then obviously that's what matters for them right now.
And the fullback whose name I have forgotten,
El Mario or something.
I thought it was Ederson for some reason. It's in my head.
No, I can't remember.
Anyway, he did his ACL. He's only just back.
Yeah.
You know, selling him off for a good amount of money, not the worst. Not the worst.
And they're looking to try to get Batshuayi on loan as well, which is probably a fair swap.
I don't think that's happening. I think the newest rumours are kind of saying Conte's against that now. Batshuayi apparently impressed against Brighton enough.
Okay.
Well, they're very light up front.
They are. Like
if one injury, and then Batshuayi is the only.
Well, they've been linked with Ashley Barnes as well.
Well, if they bring in one of these players, but like there's been stories, you know, that they want to start playing Willian and Hazard, or maybe go to 2 up front.
Yeah,
which would, you know, facilitate having someone like an Ashley Barnes or Peter Crouch up front with somebody else,
someone to play off, or for Morata to play off,
not just a number 9 to throw on a plan B. They are looking to change things a bit because it has become a bit stale at Chelsea,
and I think they need it. But there are still other clubs looking around for players.
Everyone's after a striker at the moment.
Yeah,
like apparently, like Arsenal, the entire chief executive, the director of football or football director, whatever they're calling it, but it's not director of football, and the chief lawyer at Arsenal have been in Dortmund for the last 2 days. So that the Aubameyang to Arsenal, is probably going to happen. They just have to sort out the fee, because personal terms apparently.
They apparently want 60 million for him.
I'm sure they'll iron that out.
Or Giroud. Arsenal really want to get a swap deal in as often as they can this January transfer window.
They're clearing not Deadwood. They're not even clearing.
They're trying to just overhaul the squad.
Exactly, in a very temporary basis, and trying to kill off the wage demands.
Theo Walcott's gone, which is a huge milestone, I think, for Arsenal.
Theo Walcott would pay for the whatever increase they're apparently on offer Ozil. Now, whether Ozil stays is another question. I know Jonathan Wilson wrote a piece today saying that Ozil and Mkhitaryan in one team is worse than Ozil and Sanchez in one team, because it's 2 players who don't run and who, you know, are very good at what they do but not very good at the other sides of the game. So, you know, it'd be very interesting whether Mkhitaryan's actually a replacement for Ozil, and Aubameyang maybe is a replacement for Sanchez more so than them actually creating a better team there.
No, they do look to be replacing rather than overhauling. But the worst thing about that Walcott transfer is that the IT crowd joke's no longer relevant.
Despite it being a 10-year-old joke, I think, at this point. It's incredible it's lasted this long.
Somebody crunched the numbers. That's the longest combination of manager and player it could have worked for.
That's impressive on the IT crowd's part. If they could
some
pick
foresight. But I don't think Aubameyang is going to solve too much there. He's 29 now. You know, he's very pace reliant. He's a good player.
I understand what you're saying about him being pace reliant. I don't think his game is entirely based on pace, because he plays in a team that he has played for a Borussia Dortmund team and previously a San Etienne team. Neither of them were at their best, and he scored a crazy amount of goals. He was top scorer ahead of.
I think he'd be a very good
outstanding striker. Yeah. But I just think
they have Lacazette as well.
They do, yeah. I'm just worried that Aubameyang might slip from outstanding to very good.
I think that's still good enough for Arsenal, though.
It might be. It
is a stopgap for them. This is just to soothe the fans. Yeah. So there's no because remember, it's only a couple of weeks since Arsenal lost convincingly to Nottingham Forest.
Yes, yeah. You know? And that the Malcolm signing seems to have fallen through completely.
He looks more likely to go to Tottenham now.
Yeah, apparently it was the money to the, what was the word for it? They used a special word for it that I can't think of, but basically the idea was if they take him now, he's not going to play. Because he would fall behind everyone in that upper edge. Like, he's not going to play. Who's he going to play against? He's not going to play instead of Ozil. Yeah. He's not going to play up front instead of Lacazette. He's not going to play instead of Mkhitaryan if he plays. He's not going to play instead of Aubameyang. He's not going to play instead of whoever else. Yeah. He would just be another one of those young players, a la Reece Nelson, a la Iwobi in the side. So they're like, we can pay 40 million for a player who's not going to play for us, or we can take the gamble on not buying him. Yeah. Which is probably going to end up being wrong, because Arsenal decisions always end up costing them.
I mean, at the same time, it's a little odd to see players or clubs going for absolute top class players, because that doesn't happen as much anymore, you know?
Not at Christmas, no.
Definitely not at Christmas, and just not in general. Who's the last top player that transferred from one club to another? Normally, it's the guys in sort of Neymar, yeah. But that was a complete.
Yeah, you have the crazy transfers, the Neymars, the Pogbas,
exactly,
and then the strikers last summer.
Yeah, at this point, everybody's looking for that 22 to 24-year-old who's got the potential to be world class, and that's sort of the big signing going on between clubs. And I think it is. I don't want to say a breath of fresh air, but it is interesting that older players, you know, who might be a step down from the Pogbas and the Neymars, are now moving again. Because, I mean, Van Persie is what won United the league in 2014? 13. I mean, that won them the league that year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, would that happen now? Top quality striker, 29 was he?
He was 29 when he moved.
Yeah. Exact same as
you're
Aubameyang,
right.
You know,
football's become much more of a financial game where they're playing, you know, future value, expected value. Against, they're no longer like back in the day. They would have been signing.
They kind of try to players at their peak themselves.
Yeah, and at some
they
point,
want resale value.
Like Johan Cruyff came out with the line, "A bag of money doesn't score goals." You know, at some point you got to stop worrying about how much. You got to stop worrying about the value. You just got to buy the quality. You know, and I think Arsenal's quality might be, you know, they mightn't have quite as high a standard as a United or a City, but it's nice to see English clubs doing that again, you know?
Yeah, making an effort.
Making an effort, exactly. Because it does look like they're trying something new instead of getting a young, talented player and hoping that works out for them, because it hasn't.
Yeah,
you know?
True. The Premier League is still an absolute basket case at the moment. Cause
we'll probably get onto that again later.
Because Spurs are 3 points off Liverpool, are they? I think so.
I think
or 2 points off Liverpool.
Yeah.
Spurs are like 2 points off Liverpool.
Yeah, it's 2 points, yeah.
And then they're only 3 points ahead of Arsenal. So there's a 5-point turnaround between 4th and 6th at the moment.
Currently. Liverpool to kick off in about an hour.
Exactly. But, you know, you would think that, you know, Spurs have been on a winning run now. Harry Kane's been phenomenal. They could still be in 6th place you know, this weekend.
Well, like
Arsenal, with their absolute travesty of a season,
looking at the fixtures next week, it's a midweek Premier League set of fixtures next week, so we'll probably go more in depth next week. But Tottenham play Man United and Arsenal play Swansea, and they're two polar opposite kind of fixtures.
And you can have a complete turnaround in repositioning from them. And it's like, and you're saying like these transfers, like Spurs aren't signing. Maybe they'll sign Malcolm because Arsenal had interest in him. But they're not signing someone who's going to jump straight into the team.
And they're missing Eriksen at the moment as well.
The biggest thing is Spurs can't. You know, all the other clubs could but don't want to because they think their money can be better spent elsewhere. Spurs properly can't. So if they fall short, if they fall short with what they have now, they're in trouble. You know.
And if the rumours are to be believed, I'm not sure if you're going to come on to it later, but Real Madrid, it's paper talk at the moment, but they're apparently £200 million or something, maybe €200 million.
I think that's more of a conversation for the summer, though.
Yeah, but if that's true, like as we've said, like I've said off air a few times, like Spurs play well. They have a very good, like Pochettino's a good manager. They have a very good way of playing high pressing, high intensity football. But as we've seen when Harry Kane's taken out of that team, there is no finishing in that side.
No. And I mean, Harry Kane, sometimes you look at him and wonder, how is he so good? But like he just scores so many goals. You know, he doesn't even need the yard of space. That's, you know, at that he's properly world class.
He's just in the right. He has that knack.
Yeah, and Spurs can't replace that. No matter how much money they get in, they don't have the star power. They don't have the drawing power. And even if they get 200 million, how much of that goes to the stadium redevelopment? How much of that goes into player wages?
And we've already. I was just going to say we've already seen that they can't replace a star player in the team as well.
They got 100 million for Gareth Bale. They bought 5 players.
At least.
How many of those worked out? One?
Christian Eriksen.
Yeah, one.
Absolutely.
And he was the bargain amongst them.
And he was the bargain, yeah. I mean, Lamela hasn't really worked out.
Yeah, he's been off and on. Yeah. You know, it's not great.
No.
From one Manchester United number 7 to another, though, Memphis Depay scored an amazing winner for Lyon yesterday as they won 2-1 against PSG in a top of the table clash. The title race is probably over there.
It is over.
I just wanted to mention the goals because all three of them in that game were amazing.
Can we just talk about Memphis Depay's back tattoo? If any, he's got a full
Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, amazingly artistic tiger. His whole back and shoulders. It's going to look awful when he's older.
Oh, it is, like all tattoos.
It looks fairly awful now.
Well, it matches his muscle tone very well.
True. No, Memphis Depay is probably...
He had an excellent match. He played well the
He
whole
did,
match.
yeah.
He's done fairly well for Leon.
He has. He's looked a good player, but I mean, he's still the biggest what-if in Dutch football since Rafael van der Vaart, maybe?
Oh, what a player.
What a player. But he never hit the heights he should have. And neither...
Zlatan broke him.
Yes, Zlatan broke him. He was happy enough marrying a model and...
But
Memphis
Depay
is still young enough though that he could do okay for the Dutch national team.
But he should have been Arjen Robben.
Yeah, he's not going to reach that heights.
Well, we don't know. It's still very like the one thing they tell us about Dutch players is they do have long careers.
That is true.
Like, how old is Memphis Depay? 22?
23, 24, I think.
23, 24. Yeah.
You know, and now he's back in a top European. Like we say, Leon. Like no offense to Leon, they're not going to challenge for the Champions League, but he's playing well against top European sides. PSG. He played well last season when he played for Lyon as well.
He's 23.
You know, he'll probably be sold by Lyon in the summer. You have to imagine. If someone, as I've said this before about other players, if someone like Bayern Munich comes in for a player like Bayern Munich have a good track record, and it's amazing. It's to do with Bayern Munich's own policy on transfers and not spending too much on transfers, and also want to bring through German players, that they don't overspend going abroad unless they buy one of these, so-called 20-year-olds.
Yeah, like they spent 40 million on Tolisso in the summer.
And they do have a great record with those 20 to 24-year-olds.
But the times they do buy premium players, they almost always turn them into something else. Like Lewandowski, I know he's coming from the German league. He just gone from strength to strength at Bayern. Arjen Robben, when they took him from Real Madrid, as he's past it now. He was only a young fella. He's been there nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
Same with Frank Ribery when it was like, where will Frank Ribery go? And he went to Bayern. And I was like, that's not a huge move up from Marseille as it wasn't at the time, because Bayern were challenging the European competition. Yeah. And he's won the Champions League and he's played consistently. He's 34, 35 this year.
Yeah.
You know, they have a track record with these good players. And if someone like a Memphis Depay goes to somewhere like Bayern Munich, they could take the next level and be at the top of the European club. I think he'll get swallowed up a lot, and spit out if he goes to a Real Madrid or Barcelona.
Yeah, the thing with Memphis Depay is the question will have, if he is to make another move, the question will come up is, does he go back to United, because they do have a first refusal.
Buy him back.
Yeah, and that could be
for double or treble the money.
No, there's a specific fee they put into the. I can't remember what it was. It's a fairly
fee.
No, it's lower than the initial fee that they paid for him. It's like 17 or 18 million that they have.
Okay.
No, I do agree with your point about Bayern, and I do think that a lot of the time people are too quick to write off young players, because I mean, you forget, just how young 23 is in football
still another
terms,
10 years.
You've got another decade. There's a lot of players who only peak going in 30, 31, 32.
Yeah.
Edin Dzeko being one of them, who we mentioned earlier.
He's been fairly consistent. He just has terrible runs of form where he doesn't.
He has, yeah.
He's been very good since he's been at Roma.
And
apart from the start.
Yeah.
Yes, Dries Mertens then.
Yeah.
Better example, also Italian.
Well, some players they get
some
better
players,
as they get older.
Exactly,
Players have different career arcs. Theo Walcott could still be a fantastic player.
No, and I do agree with your main point, but I think the problem with Memphis Depay going to a Bayern is I don't think he fit in with the squad at all. He's always had a bit of an attitude problem. He wants to be the big fish in the small pond rather than, he wants to be the star. He's not going to get that at Bayern. He's not going to get that at any big club, and I think that was the main problem with him at United, that he wasn't willing to settle down and earn his dues before. He wanted to go straight there, wear the number 7, be the new Ronaldo.
Lyon's a nice city, maybe he'll stay in Lyon.
Maybe. Yeah. And definitely his form right now is amazing. Him and Fekir are carrying that Lyon.
Yeah, Fekir's been really good. His goal was amazing. It reminded me of Xabi Alonso.
Probably gone, but it could be 100 million. Again. I don't think Arsenal will be able to afford him compared to some of the teams looking.
They were linked to him previously. It reminds me of a funny quote about players not fitting into a side. And Arsene Wenger was asked about, how are you going to fit Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Lacazette, Aubameyang, whoever else you want to say, and that's it. How are you going to fit them all? And he said, I'll pick the best players.
It
doesn't matter about he doesn't believe the system. If you have the best players, it doesn't matter.
That's a good point. And do they look like a scarier front four than the Liverpool front four on paper? Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan.
It's
Borussia Dortmund from 2 years ago.
A good manager can make it work. Is Arsene Wenger that manager?
Who knows?
Time will
tell.
It'll be interesting to see what goes on there the next 6 months, and might be key to keeping Ozil at the club.
Yep.
Then this Wednesday, finally in the news, the Euro Nations League draw takes place at 11 a.m. GMT. To explain what the Euro Nations League even is, I've taken this from the UEFA website. UEFA's new national team competition replaces most friendlies with competitive matches, allowing nations to play against equally ranked teams. The 4 group winners of the top-ranked League A qualify for the UEFA Nations League finals in June 2019. For the remaining sides, there is a promotion and relegation to play for, not to mention a potential route to the UEFA Euro 2020. And that's kind of the key part of that whole thing, is the final part. That this kind of replaces the playoff systems that we've come to know and love here in Ireland.
Yes. Does it replace them entirely?
It replaces the playoff system entirely.
Right. So it's just group winners or second place?
The top 2 in each qualifying group will qualify automatically for the Euros.
Okay.
But those qualifiers don't start till March 2019, which is much later than it normally would. It normally starts the September after the World Cup.
Yeah.
So then it's split into 4 divisions in the UEFA Nations League,
which satisfies the big countries who always complain about having to play
exactly
Bangalore and San Marino.
Yeah. But it also kind of satisfies the lower league team, lower teams, because they
yeah.
I think there's been a lot of apathy towards this, and I can kind of understand why. International football is not something that really excites people.
It's not because it's international football. It's because a lot of people can see through this. What it is a money spinning exercise. But
I think it works out though. Because one of these smaller teams actually qualify for the Euros now.
But there's 24 teams in the Euros as it is. These small teams are qualifying.
No, but no one like Georgia or Andorra or any of them
depends
could
on
possibly
the draw.
qualify.
Like, to look at the draw, they could.
No, but when have they ever qualified for?
With a 24 team Euros, like Ireland shouldn't have qualified. They were nowhere near good enough to qualify for Euro 2016.
Ireland were
Northern
also
Ireland
in a
shouldn't
difficult
have qualified.
Group. Northern Ireland won their group.
Yeah, I disagree with both of that, because Ireland came second and only lost to France, by virtue of having 3 less days to prepare for it, really.
Yes, yes and no. Like I disagree that the best won the Euro. Like, this is just sound like an old man, but the Euros had a perfect system when they had 16 teams, because.
I would agree.
More than 16
I would agree with that as well, though. But I think
4 teams of 4, like that was.
But I don't think Euro 2016 would have been that much better with 8 less teams in it.
Yes,
because I don't think the quality of that competition was down to the amount of teams in it. I think it was just down to the squads not being very good.
It was down to the teams then.
No,
Portugal won, finishing 3rd in their group.
Yeah, but they still won. They still got through against a knockout. They still got through 4 knockout games.
Yeah, they wouldn't have gone into those knockout games.
No, but those knockout games were bad.
And how many? 3 of those knockout games went to extra time?
I think it was one of them went to penalties for sure.
Yeah. Who did they play in the knockouts?
Like they played Wales in the semi-finals.
Wales they beat.
Croatia. Was it Portugal?
It was Croatia they played in probably the worst match of the tournament, besides the final.
Yeah. I mean, there's the problem there was there's too many teams. There's terrible games. I agree with Andrew there. I mean, and
this is all, and it's going to be much like it's a long way away Euro 2020 now, but it's going to be a lot worse than Euro 2016 because it's going to be split across 16 different countries.
I don't think it's quite 16, but it is a lot.
I know the semis and final are going to be on Wembley, so that's at least
Ireland gets a couple, so that's nice.
No, but it's good, and the fact that it's in London, like London's a fantastic city to have a semi-final and final, especially at Wembley. It'll be great, and England know how to treat football. But other than that, it's going to be all over the place.
Yeah, and I do think it's a pity that. First, they've changed the World Cup to, I think we've covered that before.
Oh, that's a mess.
It is.
Yeah, we'll get to that in 2025.
Without going to that, the quality of the football in World Cups has been improving, I think the last World Cup was one of the best we've had in a long time.
You're I hate to disagree with you, but you're linking correlation with causation. Just because the last World Cup was good doesn't mean it's because...
No, but the 2006 World Cup was good as well.
I think the big thing... The point I was trying to make with the World Cup is that attacking football was winning games, which is always great to see.
Because the teams were tired.
Yeah, maybe. But there was it was fun to watch. Euro 2016 was the complete opposite. And that was because of your worse off teams, the Irelands, the Portugals. Because, Ireland did well, but they were miserable to watch. Wales were.
I still had a good time watching them. Though,
also, it's not. It's that, but it's also, and this is a kind of cynical way to look at it as well. It's suddenly matches that didn't matter previously in the Euros did matter, because generally you would have a team to play 2 matches and
No, but is that not what you want, though?
No, but I'm saying it is good and bad. But it improves by virtue of, say, Euro 2000. France and Netherlands were in the same group, and they played each other in the third group game. Yeah. And I think France won that group game, maybe
2000.
I'm not sure, but either way, both teams put out their complete reserve sides because they both already qualified.
Yeah.
No, and as a result, both teams played phenomenally well in the knockout round, in the quarterfinal, the next round, because all the players are rested. And they both gone to the semi-finals. Now you're having a situation where you're still having like in the case of England were knocked out after 2 matches, and it was really weird.
Yeah.
But in other cases, you have teams that would have previously been able to prepare are now having to work harder, and as a result, the later areas of the tournament are worse in quality because they're more tired, because they're playing an extra round of matches, both in terms of the knockout stage and in terms of the actual having to try harder in the third group match.
No, I agree, but I think our discussion of the Euros is a little off topic to the European.
Yeah, I think the point I was going to make about the Nations League is one of the things that why I'm for this Nations League is not only because it helps with the Euros and it means teams are playing relatively similar teams, but it also just removes friendlies for the most part, and friendlies are the worst thing that's happened in international football.
I mean,
they're the longest, they're the original thing of international football.
But over the last 20 years, Ireland played Omaha recently. Who wanted
Oman,
yeah. Oman. I don't know. I was thinking of the state in America.
Yeah.
Oman. No, and who wanted to watch that?
Who wants to watch San Marino versus Andorra?
That could actually be really interesting.
No, it couldn't.
Who wins when the two worst teams play each other?
I disagree.
Okay. Even that for the novelty factor might get a few viewers. Who wants to watch Lithuania versus Kosovo?
Yeah, but instead you could watch Germany against France in a competitive match.
Yeah,
competitive. How competitive will they treat?
Yeah,
they won't. They don't want to risk injuries. Yeah. They don't want.
International football is it's not a tailspin, but it's in decline.
No, but this is a method that's being brought in to try and fix international football.
But
I think we should let it prove itself. Give it a chance to prove itself.
UEFA changed the way they sold television rights. They changed it from, instead of country by country and match by match, you negotiate your contracts with television providers to change it to, and this is one of John Delaney's babies. He championed this in this way. He's well respected in UEFA, that they negotiate TV, and that's why you suddenly have matches every day of the week, and suddenly why if you draw San Marino in your group or you draw Germany in your group, you get the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Now, because the Euro qualifying thing did not work out at all, and they created a huge amount of dead rubbers, and viewers were hugely down, and the fact that suddenly TV broadcasters had to put matches that were awful on different nights of the week, upset their scheduling, upset routine, they're trying to find a way to get back in with the TV providers, and to do that, they were like, okay, we're going to have big matches every single time, so we don't have a case where none of the big teams draw each other.
No, but I feel like you're having a very cynical outlook on it.
But this is why it was done.
It's exactly why it was done, and then
to also satiate the topper teams, the top European teams, so you don't have a case where England beat San Marino and then have to play Andorra the next qualifying campaign, and then have to play Faroe Islands the next qualifying game, and the same goes for all the countries, Germany or Italy. They don't want to be playing because they see it as these are non-events. But what's lost in that is, in maybe Andorra aren't going to get any better, but Georgia are going to get better.
But Georgia get to get promoted because I never really think Georgia will get promoted because they are one of the better lower ranked sides. And then when they get promoted, they get to prove themselves against teams of similar quality, and that's a way for them to improve.
I'll use a case study for you. Where would Iceland be right now if it's down to this system?
I think they're Group A.
No, but they are because of But say if this was 8 years ago, where would Iceland have been?
But I think
Iceland would have been the last group.
Yeah.
No, but there's still European qualifiers. They still get to play those matches. This is just replacing friendlies.
Yeah, but it's not, because it's also replacing part of qualifiers.
No, the qualifiers are still there. It's just the playoffs that are gone. And the playoffs are the most annoying part of it all anyway.
Yeah, it's created an added layer of complexity to everything.
I don't think it has. I think it's just removed the most boring part of international football.
Look, the biggest problem I have with it is, first of all, the games they show on TV. I mean, the only ones you're going to bother watching are the Group A ones because they're the top teams. Nobody outside
unless your country,
unless your country's involved. Obviously, Irish fans are going to watch Ireland, and Lithuanian fans are going to watch Lithuania. But outside of that, are any of us going to watch Hungary
versus Austria?
Hungary versus Austria.
That's a derby match.
Okay, that's a derby. Okay, Hungary versus Portugal.
Yeah,
nobody's really going to watch that.
Well, that's a Group A match.
Hungary aren't. Hungary definitely aren't. Portugal. Okay, whatever. The point is, how many top teams, international teams that you would like to watch are out there? Germany, Italy, France.
But how many international matches do you watch now?
Barely any.
Exactly.
But you also have to take into account that the majority of these matches will not be shown to a grand audience. They will be shown in the countries of their origin. And of course, you can find avenues to find these.
No, but we've mentioned Lithuania probably harshly at this point. But like Lithuanian fans are probably sick of watching their team lose nearly every match in the
Lithuania
stage. So now they get to play against
Lithuania
teams.
don't care about football. They're basketball players.
Yeah, it's basketball.
Well, we've just kind of picked Lithuania.
Okay, we have, but no.
I just worry about the macro effect it's going to have on a lot of these countries, that they're putting them in a cupboard and they're not going to find it very hard to escape from that cupboard, unless they have an Iceland situation where you have a once in a lifetime generation. But
to continue what I was saying, you have your Group A games, and the bottom tier of Group A at this point maybe Netherlands, Iceland, Portugal, Wales, even
maybe
that's kind of like. That's a hypothetical bottom. They're the bottom four in the four groups, so they get relegated. They're now in Group 2. Who gets promoted from Group 3? We'll use Lithuania, Estonia, and Hungary. Hungary are now playing the Netherlands. What sort of a game is that?
Yeah.
If you're coming because they're now Europe or UEFA Euros places up for grabs, the teams who get relegated from team who gets relegated from Group B, who's in Group B? Ireland. They go down to Group C. They're in with the promoted team from Group D. Ireland playing San Marino for a qualifying chance. I mean, that's ridiculous.
That won't affect it until 2024.
Until 2024, I mean, you get relegated in your first European Nations League, and then you're suddenly.
But then that will also affect your seeding in qualifying for the Euros anyway.
But some teams will take that. Some teams will be like,
it's worth the risk.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter about our seeding because we finally get there.
Yeah, like certain countries that miss out in qualifying, and then certain countries that always do well in qualifying, it doesn't help them in the tournament, like England or Italy. Italy of recent times. England always do amazingly well in qualifying. They usually win most of their matches and get there pretty comfortably. And then by the time they get to the tournament, something always happens. But
the thing is, though, this could backfire on them because, say there's 16 teams in each or 15 teams in each division. So in the first division, all 15 teams could theoretically qualify because they're top seeded teams.
12.
It's 12.
Yeah, it's 12.
Likely that is true. Yeah.
So then the four places that they get there to they drop down to Group B or Group C.
Do you not see the abuse that's in position that you could end up?
No, but then a team that does well in Group B doesn't need to, a team that's in Group B doesn't need to get knocked down in Group C because Group B still will play a team from Group C most likely for a chance to get to the Euros.
But in the second year, you're playing a team from Group A. And especially for some of the bigger teams, the Netherlands are bad right now. What are the odds they'll still be bad in 4 years? They're a country with a good history of bringing through young players. They could have a golden generation right around the corner. Suddenly you're playing a full-strength Netherlands team. They qualified for the World Cup in the meantime. They've made a really good showing. And now you have to play them, and your golden generation is off the boil. It's
open to abuse.
Exactly.
Without inadvertent abuse. Yeah. But it is also open to
I just feel it would be a better tournament if it was self-contained, if it had nothing to do with the Euros, if it had nothing to do with qualifying, if it was glorified.
But then people would be complaining then as well.
It would never exist if it was that way.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's the only way they can make it exist.
Yeah, it is.
And
but
to make more money.
I just think it's a bad idea entirely.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I completely disagree, and I'm very willing to give this a chance because I'm much more interested in watching Ireland play two teams of similar quality than watching them play Mexico or Oman to a crowd of 10,000 people.
I would quite like to see Ireland play Mexico.
Yeah. They play Mexico or Uruguay.
The United States every May and June, when tournaments are on, and Ireland go to America for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Why not see some of the other countries? Why
that's the thing. FIFA have actually said before that they're thinking about bringing in a World Nations League because of the influence of
that might be cool, but
But it's cool. It's not necessarily a good idea.
Yeah, that's true.
These aren't necessarily good ideas. These are interesting solutions. Similar to what, what's his name, Marco van Basten did when he did his report on football. Let's get rid of
the offside
rule. Well, there were ideas. He put a load of ideas down. He knew they weren't going to get accepted, or any of them were going to accept it. But they're ideas, and it's like, that's an interesting thought. Get rid of offside. Have a stopwatch. Introduce water breaks. Do weird things with goals.
Manage your timeouts.
Exactly. These are interesting ideas, and the Nations League is an interesting idea. But they went gun-ho with it before. Like, we put it this way: there's no VAR in. Not to go into the VAR now, but there's no VAR in these matches confirmed yet. I know probably
they probably will be.
It probably will be because it has been confirmed and ratified by the Congress. But that's something that should have been tackled long before. Okay, what are we going to do about friendly matches that aren't making you away from money, like the Brazil versus whoever, Argentina versus whoever? That is part of this. That they make so much money on these friendlies.
Like, that's just okay. That's the cynical look at it, but it's good for UEFA in the sense that they get money, which is their
that's
goal.
What they want, yeah.
That's what they want.
They're charity, but that's what they want.
But I think it's good for the football fan as well.
I mean, if you want something good for the football fan, why not draw up your European nations groups? So you've got Group 1, you've got Group 2, you've got Group 3, you've got Group 4. Reseed them after every Euros based on their new seeding, and just make them arrange 2 friendlies between themselves every time. Yeah. That way you get the same teams. You don't have any of the problems with the Euro spots up for grabs.
So that's an idea.
That's an idea.
But I don't think that solves anything, though.
I don't think this solves anything.
What problem was it to solve?
The friendlies.
You're boredom at friendlies.
No, but I wasn't the only one being bored.
No, but
how many friendlies did either of us watch in the last even 4 years?
I don't know. I've watched a few of them, but international. The problem isn't the friendlies. The problem is international football. Yeah. And searching for relevance.
But this is an attempt to fix it. Like, it's not going to fix it as a whole. But
unless it makes international football games more enjoyable to watch, it's not going to solve anything because we're just going to get more.
No, but they haven't started yet, so we don't know if it will or not. So that's why I'm saying to give it a chance.
It's the same teams. They're going to put on the same mediocre games. If the Euros was bad, this is surely going to be worse because it's got less stakes, it's got less prestige.
No, but the fact that it has less stakes might actually help it because, we always talk about cagey matches. Oh, it's the semi-final, both teams, there's a lot on the line, they're nervous. That won't be involved here, so they might actually go out and try actually have some fun.
If that held true, friendlies would be fun. And
no, but friendlies, there's literally nothing at stake.
So why don't we have attacking football there? Why do we still see boring 0-0 draws in friendlies?
Yeah, that's the reality. That's the reality of
because like
I said, international football is in terminal decline. It used to be, and I'm old enough to remember this. International football used to be the pinnacle of football. Is like the game wasn't as globalized.
Even the turn of the century, the 2000 World Cup or 2002 World Cup, 98 World Cup, 2000 Euros.
Better than this now because the game wasn't as globalized. Turkish players played in Turkey. A lot of not all of them, but a considerable proportion of South American players played in South America.
Yeah, you didn't know who a player was in a tournament until you watched them in the tournament.
El Hadji Diouf, nobody knew who El Hadji Diouf, outside of France where he's playing, and Senegal. No one knew who El Hadji Diouf was in 2002 when he scored against France and won them the match. And they got to, what was the quarterfinals and lost to Turkey. No one gave Turkey a chance at all in 2002. And they got to the semi-finals.
Even 2008, that Euros?
Yeah.
Most of that team was completely unknown as well.
Yeah, they're all young, but now everyone knows everyone. And that's not to say it's like, the modern world is terrible. That's the modern world. International football does not have the standing it once did. No.
And I mean, that's because we don't see those new players anymore. James Rodriguez at the last World Cup's probably the closest thing we've had.
He was at Monaco. He was
at Monaco. He was 45 million to Monaco, yeah.
But the problem there is just the internet age has ruined international football in one way.
It's not ruined. It's just that's the way the game changes.
Or diluted.
And international football needs a total overhaul. I just don't think this is it.
Like there's a lot of arguments. So again, we can go into ideas of let's make it national leagues to have two national teams.
It's an attempt at a solution, which is, I think, a good thing that they're trying to do something.
I agree, it's a good thing that they're trying to do something. I just don't think this is right.
There's nothing they can do. International football is bad because the players don't know how to play each other. Everyone is being conservative. And
no, I don't think this is the solution. I'm sure, we've talked about this before off air, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about this for a long time to come. I have several ideas that I would bring forward to international football.
Well, one that you've mentioned before that would, I'd say, if they combined it with this idea, I could get on board a lot more, is instead of having 4 or 5 international breaks during the season, and they're going to have to do this for the Qatar World Cup if it indeed goes ahead in Qatar, is have 6 weeks in August or in June every year.
You just take a month out of the season.
Take a month out of the normal season, and then it can restore. It's not taking any time because it just means you won't have international breaks during the season. And you put the squad together, and you have almost a tournament-style football of qualifiers at home, and everyone becomes better. The quality raises. Everyone knows how they play it. The manager can actually put tactics and strategy and long-term thinking.
And that's a big one because you don't get that in international football.
That is the base.
But I don't think that's actually a solution that I think we could see implemented. Maybe. And I think the Nations League is maybe a step towards that.
I don't know. It's like the teams that actually do well.
It's bringing in another competition.
No, I am interrupting now, but I think the biggest thing with the International League that disappoints me is that it's a missed opportunity. They could have made this like... We were talking about Van Basten's. We were talking about Van Basten's idea. They could have made this the trial league for all that. They could have made this, an under 23 rules. They could bring in new rules, see how they work. The back pass rule was brought in not all that long ago. 20 years at this point. But there's still changes they can make to the game.
Yeah, preempt things.
Exactly. This would be a fantastic place to test it out.
They're not going to do it,
but they won't. No, UEFA don't have.
Like in fairness to the FA. In England, they had a go at doing the ball across the line technology.
Goal line
technology inside the football, and they trialled it, and they're trialling VAR now, and they've trialled other rules in the past, and certain leagues around Europe have done the same thing. And like fair play to them, they're actually trying to do things and using like the League Cup to test things out, or using minor competitions.
Yeah, like the FA Cup is being used for the fourth sub in extra time.
Exactly. Europa League testing the referees behind the goals and stuff like that. That was the experiment.
The Johnson Paint Trophy is now having Premier League teams youth academies because they were complaining they didn't have senior opposition.
And there's a whole
that probably hasn't worked. But at least they tried it.
Yeah, it's something. They're doing something to try.
This shouldn't be up to the FAs. This is UEFA's remit.
Yeah.
They're the ones who should be pushing European football and changing it and moving it, and FIFA
globally.
The problem,
they should be working in tandem.
The problem there is though, like we all know the problems that they have behind the scenes. Like as you said, they want money. Money is the driving factor for a lot of their decisions.
There's ongoing investigations into both organisations.
Yeah.
Things aren't going to be resolved quickly, and not to the benefit of the game in general. It's an unfortunate timing for such a thing, because it's not getting enough attention given the scandals that are happening with FIFA, given that UEFA are under investigation for various misconduct over the past however many years. Gianni Infantino, when he was UEFA secretary, things are happening behind the scenes, and it's kind of distracting from any reforms they could put into the game. And that's probably why we don't have like you said, the 6 or 8 weeks sometime during the season where they can play an international block of games, which would probably be to the benefit of everyone involved. But unfortunately things don't always go to plan, and UEFA are currently suffering from that kind of... They're trying to sneak this out the door because it's not getting much attention at all, this National League at the moment.
Yeah, that's why I kind of thought it was a good idea to bring it up this week, what with the draw, and just how little... That's why I explained it at the start, because people seem to not really know what this thing is.
But it is so complicated. Like you saying that now, I know we probably lost a few listeners who were like, whoa. Yeah. Because it is, like, how many groups are there? What is this instead of qualifying? No,
it's the kind of thing you need to explain really with the graphs in front of you nearly.
And that's never good. The simpler the better in the most part in the world, especially when it's just football qualifying, where you're just like, why just whoever wins qualifies? Yeah. Rather than, okay, we have 2 subsets of qualifying. One is the traditional qualifying group. One is the Nations League, and then we're going to mirror those up. And there's 24 qualifying spaces, but likely the top 12 in the first group are going to qualify anyway.
Yeah, so they have overcomplicated, but I think...
Yeah, absolutely. But we have to wait and see how it turns out.
It starts in September.
As pessimistic as we are, it might turn out to be better. Yes, absolutely. I don't think it's... Not going into that again, but we'll have to wait and actually watch a game or two before we can make any proper final decisions.
And I'm waiting with bated breath for that draw on Wednesday.
We'll see how international teams approach it, because international teams, at the moment, they approach a lot, not all of them now, but like Germany or in Italy, they approach friendlies like they're okay, these are training matches to try things out.
Even Germany's team for the Confederations Cup showed how little they thought of that,
Well, not to go too far into international football, but I was going to make this point earlier, but since you brought up Germany in the Confederations Cup, I think what Germany did in the Confederations Cup, and if you weren't aware, they won it with a reserve side. They sent a reserve team of young players with a couple of experienced players, and they had them together for however many weeks. before the tournament and then for the duration of the tournament to know each other, to play a certain brand of football, and they looked like a team. And the only other team in that tournament that actually challenged them was Chile, who for the last 4 or 5 years have played every summer in a tournament with the same players. So they all know each other. They all know how each other play, and they're most like a club team. So the two teams that are most like a club team got the furthest in the tournament and were won by the better team in the end. Germany in the last World Cup, most of the players have played together. The most of them played at one team, like at Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund and a few others peppered in. And they played with each other at previous tournaments, and they went and won the tournament. You know, Spain is almost like a club team when they won the 3 tournaments in a row. They must have played at either one or the other, Real Madrid or Barcelona, and had played with each other throughout the tournament, throughout youth teams before then. The teams that win in international football are the teams closest to club teams.
Yeah.
They're the ones that play each other.
I completely agree with that.
They're the ones that, like Italy, were the same on most of Juventus and Milan side.
It's part of the reason this current French team, this current Belgian team are nowhere near what they should be on paper.
Like Brazil, when they won the World Cup in 2002, took out extra time before the tournament to get together to become a squad. France, they united early in April, late April, early May in '98 to win the World Cup. Brazil in '94 was a similar situation. You find it time and time again, the teams that win these tournaments, they get together early, they treat it like a club game, like a club team. They know each other inside out, they have years of experience with each other, they know how to play the game, their actual tactics and strategy involved, and they benefit from it. Now, I don't think having random, we're going to play the Ukraine and then we're going to play
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica wouldn't be in the Euro.
Okay, I thought you were mentioning.
No, but if we're Ireland, we're playing the Ukraine and then we're going to play
Czech Republic.
That's, and the same as if we were going to play Oman and the United States. Okay, maybe Czech Republic are better than Oman and Ukraine are better than Oman. It's not going to give us any more insight than if we played Oman or the United States. The only thing is maybe there's a carrot at the end that is possible qualification for the Euros if we don't make it in other ways. That's the only motivation for these players.
I think that's better than no motivation at all.
But true, but if they had instead, we're going to have 6 weeks and we're going to play.
No, like I've said during this conversation that it's not the best solution, but it is an attempt at a solution.
But I don't think it's any better than the current system.
No, but I think that remains to be seen.
I think we have discussed this to death at this point. I think we've said all we can say before we see the games of the draw.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of a topic of the show as well as a news item. So join us after the break where we will go straight to Guess the Player. So after a heated debate, let's get...
International football's dead.
That's the name of the show, I think. It's time now to close out the show. The more lighthearted way to close out get us ready for the rest of the week, I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
With Guess the Player. So the concept is pretty simple. I've explained it before multiple times, but if you're a first-time listener, I have a mystery player that Matthijs and Andrew have to try and figure out using a list of former teammates that they've played with throughout their career. So are you guys ready?
Sure.
Yeah. So the players that this mystery player has played with are Luis Figo, Dimitar Berbatov, Yannick Carrasco, Kaká, Michael Ballack, Hulk. You remember the Brazilian Hulk, and Nuri Sahin, or Sahin, however it's pronounced.
That is Sahin was at Madrid.
He's at Madrid. He's at Liverpool. He's at Borussia Dortmund. That's the only thing because he's a local boy in
Dortmund boy. Yeah. Did he play? When did Figo retire?
Figo's long separation. Yeah. That's a very interesting one.
Were Figo and Hulk playing at the same time?
No, that was another one that I can't see. They didn't play at the same time. They didn't overlap much, if at all.
No,
because Hulk didn't play in Italy. He played for Porto.
No, I'm thinking Figo didn't go one last year to any of the Portuguese clubs.
I can't think. I think he retired to Inter.
Right.
I just want to preface this by saying I did this like 3 weeks ago as well, so nice. I'm actually trying to figure out how they played with each other.
Yeah, Figo is a bit of a curveball in there.
It is.
So he's got to be an older player then, because Figo did retire.
Yeah, he has to be.
2005, 2006.
Yeah, he's retired 10 years at least.
Yeah, it was after the World Cup, I think, in 2006.
Right.
So that leaves us.
Berbatov. Where was Berbatov playing?
Berbatov's played for Leverkusen, which is the link with Ballack.
That's a very good.
So that is Berbatov and Ballack are both there. They also see where does Hulk come in is a difficult linking point.
Because he's only played at Porto, he played at Zenit, and
now
he's played in
China.
China.
Shanghai.
I mean, it might be some players moved to China.
I don't think it is.
Leverkusen player.
It could be a Brazilian player. That's the only thing. A Brazilian player because Kaká's in there as well.
Yeah.
So that makes me think because there's no other link. Figo didn't play with Kaká. Berbatov hasn't played with Kaká.
No. He wouldn't play with Figo on the national team. 2006
Yannick
World Cup.
Carrasco was another one of the players.
He's young. He's young enough. He's played at...
Young.
Where did he play at before Atletico?
I don't know where he was. Was he in Portugal as well?
He was not in Portugal. That's not where the link is anyway.
He was 21 I think when he signed for Atletico, 22.
This is a tough one. Do you have any more clues?
I do. He scored 24 goals in his senior career in 523 appearances.
20.
Okay, so aged player. It's not. Did Godin ever play for Leverkusen?
No.
No.
Not with them anyway. Because Berbatov.
No, he wasn't Porto anyway. He was Benfica, I think.
Yeah.
So
who
it's not Diego Costa. No, he wouldn't have any link with the Germans.
It could Ballack left. You see, Ballack hasn't played for. It's a weird situation.
Ballack's played for Leverkusen. Ballack's played for Leverkusen, Munich, Chelsea, Leverkusen. That's how his career went.
Yeah, he went to America, didn't he?
I don't think so.
Did he not go to America?
After Leverkusen, maybe.
But
if he did, it's at the time where Carrasco is just breaking through. So, he was left Chelsea in 2010?
Yeah.
2011. Would he have played with this player at Chelsea? Is that where the link is? He's not giving.
You have to give us some clues here.
I have another clue. He's won 3 Premier League titles, 1 La Liga title, a Champions League, and a European Championship with his country.
Is it Michael Essien?
It's not Michael Essien. How would he win in Euros?
I wasn't even listening to the last part. I heard La Liga, Premier League, and it was like, hey.
Who did Michael Essien win the Liga with?
Real Madrid.
Was he with Real Madrid?
He was, because there's a story about Mourinho on his birthday party or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Only Luka Modric showed up or something.
Yeah.
That's a sad story.
Poor
He's
Michael
a lovely guy. Or at least he comes across as a lovely guy.
Yeah, he does. So he's won 3 Premier League titles. He must. Is it Lassana Diarra?
No. Recently signed with PSG.
PSG.
Yeah.
I heard that
he
today.
was linked with other clubs.
Oh, this career going.
Yeah, everyone wants him.
Arsenal, Chelsea.
But every big team has always wanted him.
Yeah.
And then he just, never plays really.
Is he a method of money laundering? Lassana Diarra?
No. We won't dare say that.
Who's his agent?
We don't want to mention any agents on this.
Back to guess the
player. Yes.
Okay, so he's definitely played in Germany for a while.
That must be.
Or he's German himself. He might be playing for the German national team.
Is there any player that played
the Euros?
Yeah.
Any
How
German
did he play
player?
for Berbatov? Berbatov played at Monaco.
Wait a second. Who have we got that played with Figo? I'm kind of thinking this is Figo's Real Madrid time. One of the Galacticos.
Is it Thiago?
No.
Okay.
That's
Thiago
a good shout. That's a good shout.
Because he has won.
Yeah, he's played with Carrasco. He's played with.
Do you want another clue?
Yeah.
He was managed by Jose Mourinho at 3 different clubs.
Oh, we should know this. Okay, so he's definitely played at Chelsea. That's where he's won his Premier Leagues. It's not Ricardo Carvalho?
It is Ricardo Carvalho. Well done.
He won
That
Euros.
was good.
That's
Where did he
sad.
play with Figo?
He played with
national team?
and
Where
wasn't
did he play with Hulk?
He in China.
Oh, that is
that is a very
So when
good
you were saying, "Oh, not China," I was kind of laughing to myself.
Yeah, because of course he went to Real Madrid. He played with Nuri Sahin there.
Yeah.
He played with
At where?
At Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Where did he play with Berbatov?
He played with Berbatov in Monaco.
Oh wow! I completely
Same with Yannick Carrasco. That's where Yannick Carrasco started.
That's where he came from. I'd completely forgotten that.
Carvalho has spent has had long-term contracts at multiple clubs.
Yeah.
Yet he's been around the block.
Yeah.
He was at Porto for years. He was at Chelsea for years. Yet he still has Madrid, Monaco, China. That is mad.
Yeah.
Some defender.
He's had a great career. I think he's just recently announced his retirement. I think, or he's
won everything.
planning.
So the timeline was Porto, Chelsea. Was it straight from Chelsea to Madrid? I think it was.
Yeah.
Madrid, Monaco, China.
Mm-hmm.
So well done. It took you a little longer this week than usual.
That was a difficult one.
I was happy with that. I was going to use it last week, but we were running a bit long.
Yeah. It would have taken us a while back then.
So it is with that brings the show to a close. Thank you for listening, and please get in touch. Email us at thetfpod@gmail.com for any questions on topic of the show or any guest the player recommendations or just to name the game that we're playing, because I'm not very happy with the name. Follow us on Twitter at thetfpod. Follow me on Twitter at cheesyheartpun, and follow Andrew at Kanban27. Please subscribe, rate and review on your platform of choice. Spread the word, tell friends, families, enemies, we don't mind. Until next time, Andrew, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Matthijs, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me.